During a shopping trip, my 8-year-old suddenly squeezed my hand and said, "Mom, now, bathroom, please." Inside the stall, she leaned close and whispered, "Don't move, look." I crouched down and my body locked up in pure terror. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I reacted. 3 hours later, my mother-in-law looked ghost white because I used to quietly laugh at kids' fears. Not openly, not cruelly, just that silent adult amusement. Monsters under the bed, shadows in the hallway. Someone's watching me. Yeah, sure, sweetheart. Then, one Sunday, I was squatting on a grimy bathroom floor in a mall outside Dayton, Ohio, holding my 8-year-old's hand when shiny black dress shoes stopped right in front of our stall. A man's voice, low, steady, said into his phone, "Yeah, mom and daughter, kids about 8. They've got shopping bags. Blue dress. Yeah, blue dress." My daughter had chosen that dress less than 10 minutes earlier. It was sitting in our bag. That was the exact moment childish fears stopped being cute. Lena's grip crushed my fingers. She didn't look up at me. She didn't have to. She pressed a finger to her lips like we were hiding in a movie scene. Except movie bathroom floors aren't sticky and your heart doesn't try to claw its way out of your chest. "Don't move," she breathed. So I didn't. I watched those shoes through the crack beneath the stall door. Slow steps, pause, slow steps, pause. Like he was checking every stall, like he wasn't in a hurry. The shoes stopped right in front of us. Lena's breathing vanished. Mine followed. Then the shoes moved again, and the voice continued calmly, like he was reading a traffic report. They should have come this way if they didn't leave already. Yeah, I'll keep looking. My brain finally caught up. A man inside a women's restroom, describing us, tracking us. This wasn't confusion, this was intent. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and hit record, because working in healthcare teaches you one thing fast. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. The shoes looped back again. A stall door creaked. Another one creaked. Lena's eyes went huge. That's when I did the only thing I could without giving us away. I called 911. No drama, no yelling, just facts. Women's restroom, man inside, following us. 8-year-old with me, please. The dispatcher responded instantly. Stay put. Officers en route. Notify mall security if safe. Mall security. God bless America's habit of assigning chaos to a guy in a polo shirt. Still, better than nothing. When the shoes drifted toward the sinks, I grabbed Lena and we slipped out like smoke. Fast, silent, bags clenched tight. We ran straight to the security office like our lives depended on it, because they did. The guard looked doubtful. Of course he did. 2 women rushing in with shopping bags and panic eyes? That's peak holiday energy. "What's going on?" he asked, already bracing for a coupon complaint. Lena, shaking, described the man perfectly. The shoes, the suit, the camera strap. Then I played the audio. His expression changed mid-sentence. "That's not normal," he said. No kidding. He pulled up the cameras. We watched the footage like a low-budget horror movie, and there he was, mid-40s, dark suit, tidy hair, holding a small camera like it was an accessory instead of a problem. He moved with the confidence of someone who believed rules were optional. Security followed him through the building. 30 minutes later, they found him. He didn't run, he didn't look surprised. When questioned, he calmly flashed a plastic ID. "I'm Evan Cole Richardson," he said, "licensed private investigator, conducting an investigation." "What investigation?" the guard asked. "I can't disclose that," Richardson replied smoothly. "Confidential." Then he added something that should have been funny, but absolutely wasn't. "I'm not doing anything illegal." Right, a PI lurking in a women's restroom hunting a mom and kid. Totally normal. Security called the police anyway, because even in the US, a badge you printed online doesn't excuse common sense. A cruiser arrived 20 minutes later. One officer glanced at Lena and softened instantly. Then he looked at Richardson and didn't soften at all. Richardson was escorted out. That's when my phone rang. "Kate?" my brother-in-law Aaron said breathlessly. "Are you okay? I heard something happened." I blinked. "Aaron, how do you know?" "I saw it online," he said quickly. "Posts about a creepy guy at the mall. I thought it might be you." Less than an hour had passed. In the age of neighborhood apps, maybe that wasn't impossible, but it felt wrong, because Aaron always seemed to know things before I told him. "I'm coming," he said. "Where are you?" "I'm with police. They want statements at the station. I'll drive myself." "I'm coming anyway." He hung up before I could argue. Of course he did. 2 years ago, my husband Mark died in a car accident. One minute you're debating cereal brands, the next minute you're signing paperwork through tears you can't control. After that, my life became a schedule. Shifts, bills, school pickup, survival with spaghetti breaks. I'm a nurse, 12-hour shifts, the kind that leave your bones feeling borrowed. Lena and I built routines from the wreckage. Homework at the table, cartoons after dinner, pasta nights, comfort you could chew. Mark loved tomato sauce. He grew basil on our apartment balcony like it was sacred. One night at the grocery store, Lena said casually, pushing the cart, "I have a math test tomorrow. You ready?" I asked, because that's what moms say when they're holding everything together. "I'm fine," she said, then quieter. "But Grandma Ruth keeps asking if school is hard, like she wants me to say yes." I stopped in the rice aisle. My mother-in-law, Ruth Ann, had been interested lately. Not loving, measuring. Does your mom help you? Is she home much? Does she leave you alone? Concern with a sharp aftertaste. When we got home, Lena helped me make dinner, peeling tomatoes while I tried not to drown in memories. "Dad would like this," she said softly. My throat tightened. "Yeah," I managed. "He would." Then she added, like it was obvious, "We should get basil next time, the kind Dad grew." I nodded, because saying no to that would have felt like deleting him. We had just sat down to eat when the doorbell rang, around 8 p.m., late enough that you don't expect visitors unless it's trouble. I opened the door and found Aaron standing there, holding a small bouquet like this was totally normal. "Hey," he said gently, "just wanted to check on you both." Aaron was Mark's younger brother, recently divorced, still wearing loneliness like a jacket he couldn't take off. Lena squealed because she loved people before she learned they could be complicated. He lifted her up and handed her a small box. Inside was a plush toy from her favorite cartoon. Her face lit up. Mine didn't. We hadn't told Aaron her favorite character, not really, not enough for him to pick the exact one. That night, after Lena fell asleep, I sat alone with my coffee and tried to be fair. He's lonely, he misses his brother, he misses having a family. Fine. But then his visits became scheduled. Every day around 6, the doorbell rang, like he'd set a reminder. He always brought something, candy, school supplies, another toy. At first, I appreciated it. Then I got tired. By week 2, Lena sighed when the bell rang. "He's here again," she whispered, her smile dimming just a notch. Aaron would sink into the couch and talk about how empty his apartment felt, how we were his bright spot, how Mark would have wanted him to watch over us. That line, "Mark would have wanted," became his master key. He used it on every locked door. I tried once, carefully. "Aaron, maybe not every day," I said, aiming for gentle. "We get exhausted." He blinked like I'd insulted him, apologized, showed up the next day anyway. Of course he did. One night he said casually, like reading a calendar, "Can I come watch Lena rehearse her class presentation next Thursday? 2 p.m., right?" My skin went cold. "How do you know the time?" I asked. "Lena told me," he said, smiling. I looked at Lena. She looked confused. "I didn't," she said slowly. Aaron laughed, awkward. "Must have heard it another way." "Another way?" "Sure." He showed up anyway, sat in the school auditorium with the parents like he belonged there, like he was filling Mark's seat. After Lena presented, Aaron handed her a tiny bouquet. She said thank you, politely. In the car, Lena stared out the window. "Mom," she whispered, "I get tired when Uncle Aaron comes." "Why, honey?" She hesitated. "It feels like he's watching me, like he knows everything I like, but I don't remember telling him." Kids don't filter. They also don't lie about that. So I started watching Aaron, the way his eyes tracked our living room, how he held framed photos a second too long, the way he studied Lena's homework like it mattered more than it should. One afternoon, he mentioned something we hadn't even talked about yet. "Lena must be excited for the zoo trip next month," he said, grinning. "Packing lunches will be fun, huh?" I froze. The flyer had come home the day before. It was buried under papers on Lena's desk. I hadn't read it yet. "Where'd you hear that?" I asked. "From Lena," he said quickly. Her head snapped up. "I didn't tell him." Silence. Aaron laughed, forced. "Guess I mixed it up." He didn't. That night, I noticed something else. Lena's desk drawers were organized, not messy, not stuffed, arranged. "Did you clean these?" I asked. She shook her head. "No." The next day, I watched from upstairs as Aaron left. He paused outside, turned, and stared up at our living room window like he was checking something off. My stomach dropped. Lena came up behind me. "Mom," she whispered, "Uncle Aaron is weird, right?" "What makes you think that?" "He always asks where we're going, when you work, if we'll be home Saturday. Why does he need to know?" Then came the moment that shattered my last, maybe I'm overreacting thought. Aaron asked for a spare key. "Just in case," he said. "If something happens to you, I need access. I'm family." "No," I said immediately. He frowned. "Your neighbor isn't family." "Valerie's helped us for years," I snapped, "and she doesn't demand keys." His voice sharpened. "Mark would want me to handle this." Something in me snapped back. "Don't use my husband like that." That's when Lena said, barely audible, "Uncle, you're kind of scary." For a split second, Aaron's face changed, hard, almost hungry. Then it smoothed into a smile. "Scary uncles just want to protect you," he said sweetly. Lena stepped behind me. Her instincts knew what my grief kept trying to ignore. The mall trip was supposed to be a reset. New clothes because Lena was growing fast. Milkshakes, a normal Sunday. She found the blue dress and spun in the fitting room like the world was safe again. Bags got heavier, fries disappeared. She sighed happily. "This is fun. When Uncle Aaron isn't around, we can relax." That hurt because she was 8, and relaxing shouldn't be something she associated with an adult relative. Then she said the thing that turned my blood cold. "Uncle Aaron came by when you weren't home." "What?" "Last Wednesday, he was outside our building when I got home from school, asked if you were back yet. I told him I was going to Valerie's. He said okay, then he left. Wednesday was my late shift. I didn't get home until after 9. Aaron shouldn't have known Lena would be alone." We tossed our cups and headed for the exit. That's when Lena stopped. "Mom," she whispered, her face drained of color. "That man." I followed her gaze. Dark suit, black shoes. "Bathroom," she said urgently. "Now." That panic wasn't drama. It was survival. So we moved. Fast. She pulled me into the women's restroom and stopped at the door like she couldn't breathe. "Come with me," she begged. "Together." So we went into one stall, 2 bodies, 1 cramped space, bags pressed into my knees, her hands shaking in mine. Then the shoes came, then the voice, then the blue dress didn't stop being coincidence. You already know what happened next, because that's where this story began. But here's what happened after. We got out. We ran. We showed security everything. They found Richardson. Then we went straight to the police station. Inside, the fluorescent lights made everything look worse, even my own hands. Lena sat beside me, quiet, gripping my sleeve like it was the only solid thing in the room. Richardson sat across the hallway, still calm, still polished, like this was a meeting on his calendar instead of something criminal. Aaron arrived before we even finished giving our statement. His face had gone pale. He rushed toward Lena first, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay?" he asked. Lena nodded, but she didn't move toward him. That was new. A detective interviewed Richardson. At first, he refused to talk. Then the detective calmly explained how entering a woman's restroom while pursuing a child plays out in court. Richardson's confidence cracked. Finally, he admitted it. "I was hired." "Hired by who?" the detective asked. "A woman named Ruth Ann Walker." My ears rang. My mother-in-law. My hands went numb. "Why would she hire you?" the detective continued. Richardson swallowed. "To document Catherine Walker's daily life," he said, "to assess parenting, determine whether the child is being neglected because the mother works excessive hours." I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. "What does that even mean?" I snapped. Richardson didn't look at me. "She believed the mother was unfit. She wanted evidence for a custody filing." "Custody?" I repeated. "For my daughter? From me? Because I work? Because I'm exhausted? Because my husband died and I didn't collapse neatly enough?" Aaron stared like he'd been hit. "No," he said. "No, my mom wouldn't." The detective cut in, voice sharp. "Mr. Walker, you've been present at Miss Walker's home frequently. You've asked about schedules, school events, weekend plans." Aaron opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I was worried," he said finally, "about my sister-in-law, about my niece." "Worried about what?" the detective asked. Aaron froze. Then Lena spoke, soft, clear. "I saw that man at Grandma Ruth's house." The room went silent. The detective turned gently. "When, Lena?" "2 weeks ago," she said. "When I visited, he was talking to her." Richardson flinched. "Because kids don't lie when they're not protecting anyone." The detective asked Richardson how many times he'd met Ruth. 3, he admitted. Initial instructions, then an update, then additional instructions. "What additional instructions?" the detective asked. "More photos. Try to record conversations, find habits, connections, anything compromising." My stomach twisted. Our grocery trips, school pickups, my late shifts, Lena's blue dress, all cataloged like evidence. Then the detective brought out a folder. Inside were dozens of photos. Me and Lena at the park, me picking her up from school, me carrying groceries, me laughing with her on a bench, completely unaware we were being watched. There were printouts of my social media tags, copies of my work schedule pulled from somewhere inside the hospital system where someone had no business accessing them. And then the worst part, a typed plan, a checklist detailing how to frame me as negligent, overworked, emotionally unstable after grief, frequently absent, lack of supervision. There was also a section on Ruth. Stable income, paid-off condo, structured environment, strong involvement in education. Like parenting was a resume competition. Aaron stared at the pages, shaking. "My mom, she was really going to do this?" he whispered. "Was she using me?" The detective didn't answer for him. Aaron looked at me desperately. "Kate," he said, voice breaking, "I swear I didn't know." I wanted to believe him. I also wanted him out of my life permanently. Both feelings existed at once, because grief doesn't organize itself neatly. Ruth arrived at the station the next day. She cried immediately, the kind of crying that shows up on cue. "My Lena," she sobbed. "She's all I have left of Mark." She looked at me like I was temporary, replaceable. "Catherine works too much," she said, dabbing her eyes. "It's too hard alone. I could give Lena a better life, more attention." The detective stayed flat. "You understand you can't remove a child from a fit parent because you disagree with her schedule." Ruth's lips trembled. "I didn't have a choice," she whispered. "Lena is my only hope." No, she had choices. She chose control. People call it love because it sounds better. The fallout moved fast. A judge issued a temporary protective order. Ruth was barred from contacting Lena directly. Any visitation had to be supervised. No drop-ins, no just checking, no surprise appearances at school. Child Services visited once, because of course they did. The caseworker looked at my kitchen, Lena's room, her clean backpack, her homework folder, and my hospital badge still clipped to my lanyard like a scar. She asked Lena if she felt safe. "Yes," Lena said. Then she asked if anyone made her feel unsafe. Lena answered quietly, "Grandma Ruth." That was enough. Ruth left town soon after, staying with her sister in another state, to recover, because even villains need rest. Charges faced Richardson, and suddenly his confidential investigation didn't sound very official. A week later, Aaron came to our door. This time, he didn't act like he belonged there. He rang once, then waited. When I opened the door, he looked older, tired, smaller. "Kate," he said quietly, "can we talk?" We sat in the living room. Lena did homework in her room, the way kids do when they're absolutely listening. Aaron stared at his hands. "I didn't know," he said again. "I didn't know," Aaron repeated, voice cracking. "She never told me the whole thing. She just said she was worried, that you were overwhelmed, that Lena needed more structure." I didn't answer right away. Silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable. "I should have questioned it," he said. "I should have stopped asking, stopped showing up. I thought I was helping. I thought I was protecting what Mark left behind." I finally looked at him. "You weren't protecting us," I said quietly. "You were helping her control us." That landed. He nodded once, like he deserved the hit. "I know," he said, "and I'm sorry. If you don't want me around anymore, I'll respect that." That was new, too. "I need space," I said, "and Lena decides what she's comfortable with. Not you, not me, her." Aaron swallowed. "Okay." He stood, hesitated, then left without trying to hug her goodbye. That mattered. Life didn't magically snap back into place after that. It rarely does. But it settled, slowly. The kind of settling that comes after an earthquake, when the ground finally stops moving under your feet. Lena slept through the night again. No sudden wake-ups, no whispers about shadows. She stopped flinching when the doorbell rang. We went back to spaghetti nights, homework at the table, cartoons after dinner. We planted basil on the balcony. One afternoon, weeks later, we went shopping again. Same mall, different energy. Lena held my hand, but not tightly. We walked past the bathrooms. She glanced at the door, then kept going. "I'm not scared anymore," she said, like she was telling me the weather. I smiled. "Good." Then she looked up at me and added, "But if I ever am again, I'll tell you." That's the part people miss. Kids don't imagine danger out of nowhere. They feel it before adults are willing to see it. I don't laugh at childhood fears anymore, not quietly, not internally, because sometimes monsters don't hide under beds. Sometimes they wear suits. Sometimes they smile. And sometimes they're family. And if your child ever squeezes your hand and whispers, "Don't move," you listen, because they might just be saving both of you.